Hi there, it's Polly here. Yay! With Mr. Schnoots. Yay! And I've got an old one to run past you today, but somewhat forgotten and wrongfully, because this is a good game. So, this is The Fantasy Trip in the Labyrinth by Steve Jackson Games. Now, you can get this on drive-thru. This is the drive-thru version. It's a great game. It's kind of faded because GURPS kind of usurped it. And I think it's got really good bones and in many ways is a way better game than GURPS. So a tiny bit of history here is, this is me being a pure gamer and reviewer here. On a personal basis, I'm not a big fan of Jackson. We had some run-ins in the past, but as a game designer, I like his work. So, way back in the when, in the late 70s, we got these wonderful pocket games, which were a wonderful thing, and I wish they'd damn well come back. They were games using the plastic sleeve, and they were A5 folded longitudinally in half. So they were envelope-sized. Jackson did one called Melee, which was a hex-based fantasy combat game. It was a good one. And then he did one called Wizzard, which was a game of casting spells, also hex-based combat between wizards. And then he decided to combine the two with the additional material that would turn these into a full role-playing game. And that is The Fantasy Trip in the Labyrinth. And it's a really good game. Now, the thing that's made me sort of fix on this is that Dungeons & Dragons turned itself into a board game. So from edition 3 onwards, it was very fixated with playing things on a square grid set of battle maps. I don't know why, but this is what it fixated on. And this is how I see people playing it now. And it's not a very good board battle game because there hasn't been that much communication between the designers and the designers of honest-to-God board battle games. So it is quite clumsy compared to something done by actual wargamers. This was done by a wargamer who was also there sort of, at the genesis of role-playing games, is doing both. So as a board battle game, way better than the current D&D. So if you enjoy the kind of board fighting aspects in modern D&D, you'll really enjoy this. So this has very few characteristics in it. It's quite a simple game, but a lot of it is theatre of the mind. So it's telling you to, essentially, we're not putting in 101 written rules for things. We're going to let you fill in details yourself. So you have a strength as a character. You have an IQ, and you have a dex. Those are the three characteristics. A human level sort of creature will start with 8 in each, and then you get another 8 points to split between them. That's a starting character, and these will go up with experience. You can, if you're creating a character, there are other lineages in there that you can choose. They've got them in there. You can be goblins and all kinds of things here. Goblins and humans and elves and dwarves and halflings and half-breeds between anything. You can randomize it if you want. So, right, I'm going to be a half-breed. I'm half-orc, half-halfling. Wait, that kind of works. Wait, half-goblin, half-elf. You can do all these. I love it. But these give you different starting characteristics. Now, the core mechanic is a 3d6 roll, rolling the characteristic or less. IQ is for throwing spells, remembering things, sorting out puzzles, or perception-based stuff. Strength is obviously lifting and hitting and all that kind of jazz. Dexterity is actually your roll to hit things in combat or in melee, or for things like lockpicking or jumping over obstacles or what have you. So they've covered everything in 3 characteristics. Now I believe GURPS simply brought in perception as a separate characteristic, but in essence, very similar core. But 3d6, looking for that number or less, is the core mechanic here. Now they have, when you're doing a character, they have immediate choice. Are you going a wizard or a adventurer? Basically, fighters, other heroes, wizards. The reason you make that choice is that everyone can use spells, but they say wizards dedicate a lifetime to learning these and become very attuned to magic. So what happens in character design is your intelligence, your IQ, that you can spend that number of points on learning skills, talents, and spells. For wizards, spells are fairly cheap, but physical abilities and talents are expensive because they spend most of their time scholastically, doing stuff. For the other people, spells are expensive, but physical and professional kind of skills are cheap. Because, that's their life. But you can still buy spells. That's just going to cost you like 3 points for a spell instead of 1 point for a spell. There's a considerable array of different skills and so on that you can purchase and learn. And these are all, it's all good stuff. The spells, there's a really, really, really good spell list in this. They're split up between different levels of IQ. So there are different spells depending on your IQ. And you can obviously learn all the ones at lower IQ, but some of these things are replacements for lower IQ levels of the same spell. And casting a spell will cost you strength points, temporary strength points to cast it. When you rest, you get those back. Like you need a nice sit down and a cup of tea. It's just 15 minutes. But some of these are just simply a better version of an earlier spell. It's just that you're going to have quite a high intelligence to do it. As a starting character, you might not be able to reach that far. They have many suggestions for different types and styles, for instance, of wizard, saying you could be one that concentrates on a lot of physical things and you just want a couple of adventure assisting spells. You might be a pure scholar. You might be one that concentrates this way. You might be one, they do a good job showing you your options and possibilities, but it's not hard locked into, classes and archetypes. It's all up to you. Same goes for the other characters. Are you going to be a warrior-based character? Are you going to concentrate on more roguish things? Are you going to be using more wilderness-style things? Do you want to pick the skills and so on that make you glib and charismatic and sex appeal and manipulative? Do you want to have a couple of spells to assist with that? If you're going to a roguish sort, maybe some spells that essentially make you able to move silently or make people ignore you, etc., might be really useful to you. So, and you might want to plan to have the IQ to cover that when you design the character. So, and then it gets into essentially coming up with your character background and story. No real charts for it, but it just is saying, once you've decided what you're wanting to play and start designing your character towards that, come and have a little think about what you are and why you feel you should do that. All right, I want to be a more kind of high dexterity fighter sort, a bit roguish, a bit Errol Flynnish. Why don't I be a pirate? So okay, well, I'm a pirate. And so I'm going to take seamanship and so on in my background and... piracy is my thing. Oh, okay. He could have chosen to have seamanship and be a noble scion of the Navy or something, but no, this is... So, not picking from cold hard lists, you're making a background and so on. So, I love it. When we get down to the actual combat rules here, so... First off, what they did is they made their own world for this, which is kind of cool. So... It's got its own world, and the idea was there was once kind of a multi-dimensional race, and it decided to basically build a world for itself. And it took many, 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 many different creatures off other worlds and put them here. And many of these are what we now think of as, magical creatures, or many of the different sort of lineages came from different places. So orcs are obviously from a place where, that was the main sentient race. Goblins from another, elves from another. These are all things that were thrown here sort of for the amusement of these guys who wanted to see how it would all work out. And this place has a background magic that can be used. And their idea was to make a place as we don't know if this is a round planet or not. No one's ever found the end of it. So in other words, you can build your own bits into this and it's kind of canon in the world, but it's just a bit that none of the other player worlds have ever bumped into yet. So it was trying to do a cool little world of infinite possibilities. So there's some really nice creatures here. There's a really considerable bestiary here. Because you've only got really these three main characteristics, they're fairly simple to express, so they're all done in a few paragraphs, but they've all got flavour. You know, there's gargoyles and there's dragons and there's Long Lankan, which this is full of Liz Danforth art, by the way. Bless her. I loved her art. Great to see it here. So this is a lot of it's Liz Danforth's work. Now, when we get down to the actual combat system, so like most games of this period, it's largely theatre of the mind. We are making this stuff up as we go along, and sure, you can have maps and all these sorts of things as support, but when it goes to combat, this thing switches to a hexagonal grid. Hexagonal grids are infinitely more flexible than the square grids that you'll see in D&D. Facing is sort of becomes more important. It's a more flexible way of doing things. The only thing is that in some cases you have to have sort of dungeons that meander around as linkings of hexes. You get less exact straight lines in many things, but you know, you can have a square building is fine. You just put the grid in it and around it and all as well. But you've got set movement for characters. You have initiative, which governs where and when everything moves. You've got front facings are the three hexes to your front. You've got side facings, which are the side rear facings, and you've got an absolute rear facing. You do get bonuses for attacking things from the rear. First time you're attacked, you can turn and face that foe, but then you can't turn around again unless you've taken some sort of extra ability that lets you do it. So you've got to watch each other's backs. They've got some interesting rules for like long weapons like pole arms and so on. They can attack, instead of just attacking the person next to you, they can reach out further, so then don't do as much damage as like a two-handed axe. A halberd doesn't do as much damage as that under these rules, but they have reach and flexibility, so you can strike out at people further away, and you can support guys who are like outfitted with closer range weapons. So you can start moving guys in like self-supporting pairs and all these sorts of things. Obviously the effects of different spells, they all work off hexes and mega hexes, which is a hex surrounded by other hexes, or a second level mega hex is a hex with all of the hexes in a 2-hex ring around it, etc. So it's very precise about that, but all done simply, robustly. We're not wading through hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of rules. Here it is. This is it. This is all you need. And you get a fantastic combat game out of it. There's magic items all through here. They've got notes for creating magic items, potions and so on, how to create potions, mounted combat. It's all in here. It's all well done. Reloading times, moving through water, special situations, they're all covered, but it's all covered in, one decent volume. What is this? 176 pages. So why would you play this? Well, the system is actually great. I like the character design, and that magic spell set of lists. Everyone should take a look at these spells if you're going to design a game. A lot of these things have never appeared in other games, and there's lots of really great kind of utility magics, lots of great combat magics and so on in here that just no one's touched. So like it really does have a different flavor for its magic, and it comes from that Wizzard pocket game where they were trying to make a thing just for Wizzard. So it's got the magic system has real flexibility and some really interesting choices of spell in here. The general talents for characters, very thorough, so you can design whatever character you want. It's nicely done. General roleplay, it's all there. And the combat system, if you really do want a board game where you engage people and fight, yeah, I think a hex game is a better choice. And this one was designed from its very roots to give you a good board-based, clever tactical combat. It's not going to break your brain trying to figure out clever tactics to defeat someone, but cool tactics that you come up with will certainly make you, live and die. You're not just standing there and dishing out damage to people. I can do a whirlwind attack on everyone in every hex. No. You're going to have to actually get there and do it. But I've got a hurled weapon that I can hurl. I'm allowed to follow it up and charge. This guy with the spear is going to protect me. I've got a guy over to my side over here who can run interference with a shield in case I'm shot at. And the spells are interesting. The spells, for instance, that effectively make you immune to missile fire, unless someone's got the stuff that counters the thing that makes you immune to missile fire. There's things that make you very hard to hit, which you can cast on people, a blur spell. So you can have wizards, if you want, directly engaging and summoning cool stuff to fight for them, or they can be directly helping out fighters, in which case you might almost want to peel someone off that just looks after that wizard because he's such a valuable asset for helping everyone else. And so, it's a really nicely done board game. Jackson went on and did GURPS. Like I said, GURPS added in, I think, really just one extra characteristic and decided to adapt this same general system to every single setting that you could possibly imagine. It's up to you whether you think he succeeded or failed in that. GURPS is a relatively robust system and absolutely has its followers. I should definitely do a review of it, but I thought I would do a review of this first because this is its origins, and in many ways it is a stronger game than GURPS because it is focused on being really good at the one thing. And the one thing it is really good at is a fantasy game of combat and adventure. It chose to design itself to cover one thing really well, and it covers that one thing really, really well. Take a look at it. And I've jumped back in and played it, and this thing's actually a riot. I'd forgotten how fun it was. We played it sort of way back in the day. This game came out in 1980, and it was good. It was fun. But we were playing other things. We were deeply involved in RuneQuest, and we weren't that keen on the board game aspect of it because we were miniature wargamers, and role playing was often a separated thing. But when we did play it, it gave a good feel, and that's what this does. I like the blend between the exactness of, I guess, the map-based combat, but the more unfettered character design where you can kind of design your stories and your backgrounds, and you've got this wonderful set of design tools so you can pretty much make your characters whatever you want, whatever combination of magic and battle and general skills and talents you want. It's entirely up to you to make a character the way you want to make the character. Love it. So check it out. It's available on drive-thru. Good to see it back. And it deserves some love. It truly does. This was a great game, and it's thoroughly playable today. It does have a very modern design sensibility to it because it has one core mechanic that it uses for everything. It does have the plus and minus of different kind of numbers and factors that you have to count down. Not that hard, if I'm firing at someone and it will say, if I'm firing at someone and it's long range for your weapon, you subtract this from your dice roll. Easy. So yeah, like I said, modern design sensibilities really start coming out in this game. And also in like basic role-playing from the same era, obviously, where a single unified system is being used throughout the game rather than individual systems being nailed in at want. So an easy game to teach, an easy game to pick up, nigh infinite flexibility for creating the sort of characters that you want, and if it gets down to combat, a cool bashy up kind of board game for you to enjoy. That's In the Labyrinth. A blast from the past, and yeah, I'm really glad I took a look at it again. I hope you guys do as well. I hope you guys take a look because it deserves it. Anyway, I will see you guys. Look after each other. Keep gaming. For those of you who say everyone is welcome at my table, bless you, and make sure everyone really is welcome at your table, because pushing people away is sometimes subtler than you think. It can just simply be that your content, people don't feel well represented, or the fact that, you know, every time they say that they don't really want certain sort of ideas brought out the table, everyone, you know, kind of mocks them for it. So yeah, keep in mind, gaming is something that we all share for fun. And yeah, hopefully I'll see you guys around a gaming table sometime soon. Cheers everybody, and farewell from Mr. Snoots. Bye.